I transformed the world's ugliest building into an interactive playground and stage. And here's how I did it. My name is Maria Finkelmeyer. I'm a percussionist, artist, composer, and professor at Berklee College of Music. I love to transform architecture, public spaces, and anything really you can imagine into some sort of art experience. So according to numerous polls and articles, Boston City Hall is named one of the ugliest buildings in the world. And why is that? Well, if you've ever kind of seen a cement building, a square building, something that has very angular shapes, it's probably in the brutalist architecture vein. Now, this architectural kind of phenomenon happened in the mid-1900s, where as post-war and architects were kind of experimenting with new shapes with kind of angular looks and sometimes this very stark look. And Boston City Hall is this like epicenter of brutalism. My personal opinion is maybe it's not the ugliest, but it is very interesting and it offers a lot of poetic inspiration. So you see a lot of square, you see repetition, and music. Music is repetitive. Like, we kind of like that repetition. I appreciate that. It's also kind of upside down. So I've read a couple of articles and I know that the three architects that worked on this were thinking about kind of having this inviting space and kind of this idea that the government is looking out for you. Okay, so maybe it's a little opposite of that. When it's in reality, it almost feels a little like too much and it's a very top-heavy space. But you know what? They tried something, and I appreciate creatives. And I guess if you're an architect, you try in a big way. That lasts a really long time. But I find the space to be really interesting. So brutalism, kind of sometimes those angles offer a little nook, or a space that you can project a video on, or a stage, or something that you actually want to explore. So I appreciate those things, even though they might not quote unquote make sense to what we would call a normal building layout. So when I had the opportunity to imagine what City Hall could be from an artistic lens, I think the brutalist nature of the building itself gave me a lot to feed off of. So recently, the City of Boston, the Mayor's Office for Arts and Culture, said, hey, we have recently renovated our plaza. Let's activate it. And they put out an open call for artists, creatives, presenters, and producers to say, how would you activate this space? And I jumped on the opportunity because I am who I am, and I was like, all the world's a stage. This place is beautiful for activation. So I proposed to do just that. What if we curated an evening of multimedia performances and interactive like art that you can touch and feel and get inside of? And luckily, I got the opportunity, and then I started to work hand in hand with Billy Dean Thomas at the Mayor's Office for Arts and Culture to kind of explode and heighten that original idea. And what we came up with was, what if we invited my company, MF Dynamics, as well as my favorite risk-taking, kind of forward-thinking artists to think about what would the future look like. We called this experiment, which it truly was, Future Fest, with the idea that we want to bring risk-taking artists to the plaza to transform it, to think about what is the future of art engagement, what is the future of the city, what is the future of the citizens of Boston and beyond. I had originally pitched this for a fall activation, and wonderfully Billy Dean said, can we do this summer though? We have a lot happening this summer. We want to put it on the summer series. So I essentially had 2 months to do this. Production, permitting, artist engagement, marketing, and everything that comes along with putting on a large event. When first looking at this brutalist architecture and seeing the concrete facade and all the angles, the first person I call is Jeff, who runs Illuminous. And Jeff really got me into this technology and art space in 2015 when I did Waking the Monster. And I said, Jeff, I want to project on City Hall. Are you down? You want to do this with me? And he's like, yes, of course. And he is a projection specialist, so he can talk about lenses. He could talk about how many lumens the projector needs to be, and is also a creative himself. So we started to munch on what possibilities there could be. And he's been working with another artist, Andrew Helinski, who I've also worked with. So it's like, you know, you kind of pull these old circles out and you're like, oh, this is an opportunity to like reconnect with people also. So one of Andrew's specialties is this kind of highly interactive technology. So he used a LiDAR camera. So when you actually kind of touched the brick, the animations followed your hand. We had a flamethrower that just showed up and went in front of one of his screens, this like kind of swirly red and orange animation. And then all of a sudden this random flamethrower, which we did not necessarily hire, but just expressed themselves in front of this, and it was just totally gorgeous. Also, one of my favorite things about public art is just you don't know what's going to happen or who's going to show up. It becomes a stage for not only the artists involved, but everyone to express themselves. And I think that's really cool. So my team and I, while we were producing the whole festival, we also wanted to get nitty-gritty and kind of get in there and create a project as well. And we've been munching on this idea for quite some time of what would you say to your former and future self? I've been writing music that are notes to my former selves, and I've been thinking about artificial intelligence. So I proposed this idea to the team to say, what if we could grab an image of somebody in the space and transform their kind of look from youth to aging? So kind of like a Snapchat or TikTok filter. What if you could see yourself in these different eras of your life while also being immersed in a like multi-layer soundscape that makes you want to stop and listen? So I worked with Andrew Ringler, who did all of the coding for the project, John Escobar, who mixed the music and Atmos, and Allison Tannenhouse, who offered additional animations to the experience. And we turned this circular space in the plaza to be this invitation to come into this circle, be immersed in the sound, and then have the time to stop, look, and see yourself go through these different decades. And what we experienced by watching people go through this is that people liked to watch each other go through the experience. What happens when this person kind of goes up to the camera, this person? It was quite jarring to kind of see your own face age in 20 seconds. Oof, it did give the like gut punch of, whew, that was a real art experience. That was something that I have not experienced in any other moment of my life. So we were really honored to be able to bring that piece to the festival. So Future Fest became this multi-generational playground where people of all ages and backgrounds just came and enjoyed and just had a space to be in this colorful, vibrant space. And I imagine if you would have asked any of them, is this building the ugliest in the world? I don't even think they would have like understood that they were seeing City Hall. And I love that. I feel like they would have taken away more about the vibrancy of the color, the people around them, hanging out in the swings, looking at themselves from a new lens. Now, when they go back to that space, if they're a local Bostonian and they're walking through to get to Faneuil Hall or get to a museum, they will be taken back to Future Fest to like, oh, do you remember that was so cool? There was video projection all around and lights and dance and music, and they'll be taken back to that space. And I think that's really, really special. And, you know, for me, whenever I'm doing these projects, whether it's my own installation or performance or producing this bigger festival, it's this idea that when you bring art into the public space, it needs to be two-layered. It needs to be digestible, but it can also be deep. And people can insert themselves in any way they want. You can hang out on a swing for a while, or you could go immerse yourself in this AI aging experience. And I think we have to meet people where they are, and I think Future Fest did that, because you could come with who you were and leave with whatever you wanted. If you want to learn about any of my other crazy ideas and projects, check out this video right here.